Hey guys, in this video we are going to talk about how to write a Python program to find out through how many circles does a horizontal or a vertical line pass through. Before I get started, let me tell you that there is an explanation video to this, and the link to that particular video has been given in the description. So please go through that particular video and then you can come back to this particular video. Let me also tell you that this is an actual Infytq problem. Infytq is kind of like a platform for the freshers where Infosys tries to recruit them. There is some kind of a cutoff where 65% is a cutoff out of 100, and the students who clear that 65% then go on to the second round, which is basically the face-to-face interview. All right, enough said. So let's just get started with the actual problem. In the problem, even though I'm not showing you the question, but I'll try to explain you what the question was saying. The question said that there are multiple lines in a particular problem, and these lines are kept in a particular variable called, let's say, lines, which is list of tuple of the axis versus its value. So in this case, where I've given you lines equal to list of tuple of x comma 3, x comma 2, y comma 1, and y comma 7, these are 4 lines. Let me just remind you again, if you are really not understanding what I just said here, please go through the explanation video again and you can come back here, and I'm pretty sure you will still understand after that. All right. So the next part of the question says that you have a variable, let's say circles, and that has list of tuple of circles. The circles the representation of the circle is in the order of x comma y comma the radius. That means circles is a variable here which has list of individual tuples of circle. That means this particular circle is centered at 0 comma 0 with a radius of 2. This particular circle is centered at 2 comma 4 with a radius 1. This one is at 3 comma 3 with a radius 3, and last 5 comma 0 with a radius 2. Now the actual question is, I have to write a function that will accept these two parameters, and it will tell us all those lines which are passing through all these circles. So I'll be writing a function, and the function will be named as, let's say, check crossover. Now this is just a function name that I'm giving. You can, as you might be aware, that you can give any name to a function. So it's just a user-defined function name. I have to pass 2 arguments. So I'm going to give circles, comma, lines itself. Now these argument names could have been anything, but I just choose to do the same things just so that I can avoid the confusion. Now the first thing that I'll do is I will pass through all the lines, and then if for the individual line, I will check if it passes through the circle. The formula, I hope you remember from the previous video, the formula is x minus x naught the whole square plus y minus y naught the whole square is equal to r square. In the assumption, we will be saying that we are not really looking for r square. All we need to do is we need to find out x minus x naught the whole square plus y minus y naught the whole square's value. Depending upon the value that we get, we will check with the radius square's value, and if it is equal, that means the line just touches the circle, more like you can say tangent. If the value is less than the r square value, then it passes through the circle. If the value is greater than the r square value, then it does not pass through the circle at all. Now, having said that, let's just get started with the code. I'm going to go through individual line. What I'm doing here is I'm just saying for every line in my lines, I'll check if line of 0 is equal to x. Then I know that in the formula, y minus y naught is always equal to 0. So I need not even include it in my code. That's the reason why I'm just checking if line of 0, that means this is the individual line, this is the first line. And in this, I'm checking the 0th index. If it is equal to x, then from the formula, y minus y naught will always be equal to 0. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to check from every circle that I get, when I pass through this particular list, for every circles, every x value, I will put it in the formula, which is x minus x naught. If you didn't understand what I just said, let me just write the code and I'll explain again. I'll say for every circle in my circles, I will try to separate out 0, 0, 2, which is this one. And I'll separate out 2, 4, 1, which is this. I'll separate out 3, 3, 3, and 5, 0, 2. What I'll do is I'll write x, y, the radius. Now, since this is x naught, I will just give x0 and y0 just so that it does not confuse us when we are putting it in the formula. I will break down the circle's value, this individual tuple, when read in such a way that is, this is multiple assignment. That is 0, this 0, which I'm highlighting here, will go to this x naught. This 0 will go to this y naught. And this 2 will go to this radius. Now that I have found out for every line of 0, if it is equal to x, I will check for every circle and separate out the x naught, y naught, and radius. I hope you understood this. Now, since the line of 0 is equal to x, I don't really have to worry about y naught at all. What I'll do is I will try to find out x minus x naught. What is x? X is this value, which is 3. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually break down here and say that x is equal to line of 1. When I do that, this makes this formula easy for us. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to find out x minus x naught. I need to find the square of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to square this up this way. Now that I've found x minus x naught square, I have to obviously save it in a variable. So let's just keep a temporary variable here and I'll name it as temp1 is equal to x minus x naught square. Now that I've found x minus x naught square, I have to compare it with the radius square. If you don't follow this particular point, please go back to the explanation video, which has been anyway put up in the description below. Now what I'll write is I'll say I could have actually written a function, but I'm anyway going to reduce the line of code eventually. But let's just write an expanded version of code. Later on, we'll try to reduce the code into smaller lines of code. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check if temp underscore 1 is equal to radius square. Now, do you really think this is a good habit that I'm performing radius square at in the condition itself? It's not. The reason why the performing I mean the action that I'm performing here, which is radius square, is not right, is because what if the first if condition is not true? What happens is it will go and then go to elif. Let's say it will go to elif, and then again I'll be performing temp1 greater than. Let's say I want to find the greater than. What it will do is it will again perform radius square. Like it's like I'm just spending more time just to do the same activity. So what I could have done is I could have actually saved this in a variable. Here, I'll just say radius equal to radius to the power 2. I'm just writing it in the same variable. I hope you guys understand that it's okay to do this. All right. So now here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check if it is equal to radius. If it is equal to radius, I have to obviously tell that the line touches the circle. Now, which is that line? Since I want to actually give some kind of a, you can say some information, what kind of line it is, what I'll do is I'll just try to put some kind of a, the line details. Like this is line x comma 3 and the circle is 0, 0, 2. All right. So for now, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to do it, a very, yeah. I'm just going to write the line which is this itself, the line which I'm reading here. The line so and so touches the circle. Which circle? Obviously, we'll have to give the circle as well. All right. Now, if elif the temp underscore 1 is less than radius, I'll be saying that the line passes through the circle. Through this circle. All right. Now the last case is what? Else, if both the conditions are not true, obviously the line does not pass through the circle and does not even touch. So you can say the line is outside the circle, is outside the circle. All right. Now after any of this particular step is done, what we have to do is we have to go back to the next circle and find out the next result, and then so on. Okay, the question, if you remember, was only to find out if the line passes through the circle. That's all. In reality, we are only concerned about this. However, I have given a code here which also finds out if it touches or if it is outside the circle. Okay, so if this is for x, obviously we have to find out this. I mean, we have to do the similar code for y. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this part and put an else block here, and then inside that I'll just copy and paste the same code. Now you might be feeling that there is a redundant code here. I mean, there is a duplicate code here and here. We could have reduced it. I would like to give that part of the code to you guys to reduce the code. And if you guys have any question, please write down the comments and I'll help you out. Now, if line of 0 is not equal, I mean, line of 0 is equal to x, if you see here, x is equal to line of 1. Okay, now this x value is going to be put in this particular formula, right? This is wrong. This placement is wrong. Why? The placement of this statement is wrong because this is always making this line of 1. That is, even in case when it is a y-axis, I mean, it's a horizontal line, even then, line of 1 is being put to x value, and that is wrong. So what we'll do is I'm going to take this line from here and put it explicitly inside line of 0 equal to x. This way, I can avoid creating unnecessary variables. Now, what I'm going to do is, the second thing is, as soon as I go to else, That means line of 0 is not equal to x. If it's not equal to x, it's obviously y. And that's why I'm going to put here y is equal to line of 1. When I do that, the formula also changes. Why is that? In case of a horizontal line where y is equal to any value, there is always x minus x naught equal to 0. So that's why I'm not going to use that in my formula. And I mean, it's like I'm making an assumption that I don't, not, it's not an assumption. It's like I just don't want to use it in the formula. Okay, because x minus x naught is always going to be 0 when it's a horizontal line. Now, if I run this just code as is, I don't think so I need any other changes here. However, let me just have a look. Yes, it seems perfectly fine. Let's just run this cell as is. All right, now that I've run this cell, let me call this particular function with circles and line. I'm going to say circles, comma, lines. All right, so when we do this, let's see if it works. Perfect. Now, if you see here, the line x comma 3 is outside the circle 0, 0, 2. The line x comma 3 touches the circle 2, 4, 1. The line x comma 3 passes through the circle 3, 3, 3. The line x comma 3 touches the circle 5, 0, 2. This is for just x comma 3. Likewise, I have it written for x comma 2 and y comma 1 and y comma 7. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. And if you like my video, please hit the like button and do subscribe to my channel. And if you have any question, please write down in the comment section and I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. Thank you.